I also can't think of an excuse for this as we move up to Boston, where Mayor Michelle Wu, you may remember her, she was last seen sort of awkwardly sitting there silently while she got insulted relentlessly on Instagram Live, which was a great video. This one, not as good. She gave a speech at the annual Boston St. Patrick's Day breakfast where she said this, listen.
Over 100 days, we have connected unhoused residents at Mass and Cass to housing, treatment, and services. We've launched 3 free bus lines. We've taken some big, bold actions, but I won't lie, this past winter was pretty intense. Trial by snow, trial by fire, fighters union. I'm getting used to dealing with problems that are expensive, disruptive, and white. I'm talking about snowflakes, I mean snowstorm snowflakes.
Oh, hilarious. She's dealing with problems that are expensive, disruptive, and white, which is a joke she decided to tell, by the way, at a St. Patrick's Day event. And the excuse that's being given on her behalf is that apparently at this event, the tradition is that the mayor gets up there and gives a funny speech and tells a bunch of jokes. Okay, fine. So she's telling a joke. Now all of a sudden, people on the left are saying, hey, calm down, it's just a joke. Now, when an actual stand-up comedian at a stand-up special tells jokes, that's Armageddon. That's the apocalypse. That's a human rights abuse. We got to have marches in the street and boycotts. You know, Dave Chappelle's an actual stand-up comedian. It's his job to tell jokes. And he does a stand-up special where he tells jokes, and that's a problem. You can't do that. Yeah, we're going to make excuses for a politician on St. Patrick's Day who decides to make a joke that all of her problems are expensive, disruptive, and white. Now, I don't need to point this out, but I will, because that's pretty much the entire show is me pointing out things I shouldn't need to point out. If this was a mayor of a city who was commemorating Black History Month by making a hilarious joke about how most of his problems are expensive, disruptive, and Black, you know, I don't think all the people that are having such good humor about it would feel that way about it. There would be riots in the streets. It would be considered a historic catastrophe. They would they would literally commemorate the day that it happened. If that happened today, March 22nd, that a mayor got up there and said, you know, all my problems are expensive, disruptive, and Black. I'm not talking about Black people. I'm talking about the pavement. There's a lot of potholes. Don't you get it? If that were to happen, and March 22nd would be a day. We would have anniversaries of it. Next March 22nd, they would talk about where they were when they heard that joke and what terrible damage it did to them, the trauma that they've suffered. I mean, we would never hear the end of it. They would build monuments to commemorate the tragedy where people could go and weep over the joke that was told. And yet, what we are supposed to get accustomed to, and many of us are accustomed to, is just that, you know, it's different. Mayor Wu is a non-white person, and she's making jokes about white people, and so it's just different. She's allowed to do that. That's what we're supposed to accept that. I don't. I think we should not accept it. Now, as I've said before, we don't want to call this a double standard, really, because it's actually not. There is in fact one standard. The standard is from the left, like, we can do things that you can't do. Non-white people can do things that white people cannot do. That's the standard. But it's a twisted, perverse standard. And we should never tire of criticizing of it. And yes, we should react with anger to stuff like this. We should be outraged about it, yeah. Because the only other option is just to move on from it and say, okay, fine, you can do that. Like, I know you're doing something that a white person could never get away with, but all right, you can just do it. Why should we go along with that? That's what it's like as white people, you're just supposed to sort of accept that, okay, well, you can come and spit in my face. All right. I don't like it, but all right. Why should we accept that? No, I'm not going to have you spit in my face, especially it's like St. Patrick's Day, to make it all the worse. So this is your way, rather than talking about how you appreciate Irish culture, you're going to tell us that your problems are all white? You disgusting, drooling, ugly bigot. You racist scumbag. Should be the response to this person. It is, because that's exactly what it would be in the reverse, but a lot more harsh, we all know. I mean, the mayor would be kicked out of office, probably arrested for a hate crime, and I'm not exaggerating. But you can't even conceive of actually fully of what the reaction would be, because it is literally inconceivable that a politician would ever make a joke like that about any race of people other than white. And is that a reality that we want to accept? That there is one race of people, that the most powerful people in our society, politicians who are running cities and running the country, are allowed to joke about and insult? Do we really want to accept that? Because that doesn't go anywhere good. When there's one group of people that we determine by race who you're allowed to disrespect, but nobody else. Now, you want to open up the floodgates and say that, yeah, jokes are jokes. You can make jokes about any race you want. And, hey, that's fine. If that's the rule, I'm totally on board for that. But I'm not on board for the rule that you're allowed to do this to white people, but nobody else. Not on board for that. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with all your friends.